We're all working within the business. It's so hard to get away or try to escape to go fishing for a weekend, especially as a family. So we started the events because it's like, okay, well, this is a work trip. Like, we have to go. And then invite all of our customers. They bring their families. And now we're starting to plan more Edencraft escapes sort of all over Australia. People are like wanting to know when they are 12 months out so they can put it in their calendar to make sure that they can be there no matter what state it is. That's incredible that people plan their years just to be able to come to our events.
You're not just a boat builder.
No.
You know, it's so much more than that.
You're listening to the Rising Toddcast, the podcast for sharing the stories, the lessons, and all the good stuff from legends in the marine industry.
Welcome to another episode of the Rising Toddcast. I'm stoked to have Josie Eastman on today. She's the GM of Edencraft and just an awesome person in general. Welcome, Josie.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah. Since you took the reins at Edencraft, you've done quite a lot. You've launched a new flagship, the 255 formula. You've even got some new models at the top tier coming very soon too. And I've been fortunate enough to work with you on some amazing projects too. So it's been awesome to get to know you and understand, especially like your vision for the company, which I think is very, very cool and essential to a lot of the success that you have. I was lucky enough also to go fishing with your dad on the reef this year. And he told me a story and it kind of stands out immediately as soon as I think about you and being the driven person that you are. He said sometimes when you're with a new customer, either in person or on the phone, occasionally they'll ask to speak to someone else at some stage when they want to get like all the tech specs and like set up questions, and they think they want someone who's like can actually talk to them in a way that they, I guess, can relate to or something. And then he said he absolutely loves it because you know absolutely everything about like all the setups, every option in the sun. You have such a deep product knowledge. And then, you know, you kind of like leave them jaws dropped.
Yeah.
I love that. They're blown away. You don't grow up fishing and boating all the time, right?
No, not at all. You said that in such a diplomatic way as well.
How would you say it? It's
definitely like someone will be like, oh, can I speak to one of the guys? Or can I speak to one of the guys out the back? And I'm like, I can help you. And they're like, oh, no, it's all right. I just want to speak to one of the guys. I'm like, trust me, ask me anything. I will be able to help you. I get like, I'm going to prove this guy wrong. Like, just ask me the question.
Yeah. I love that.
So I get probably like a little bit psycho with that.
But I mean, that's got to be some adversity that you've had to deal with this industry. It's just a male-dominated industry. But the thing that stands out to me is like, that says a lot too about not only how smart you are, but how driven you are to like understand the product, your customer. You're not just the GM that's like making these big strategic decisions. You're like in the depths of everything. You understand, and you understand what your customer wants to, I guess, hear and get the most out of their boating experience, which is very cool. Where does that drive come from for you?
I think it is from mum and dad. When I think about it, I used to have like, not really no, but it is all I've ever known. They've always had multiple businesses. They've always worked for themselves. And yeah, they've literally just always been working. And then our special times together would be when we go on a holiday or like for sport. So we're always really like a sport-driven family. So it was like you train really hard and that results in playing really well. So it's like you work really hard, that results in things winning at work. Yeah, that's where it's come from. And I've been a pretty dedicated person my whole life. And I think I like to be busy, I've come to realize.
Uncomfortable sitting still. Yeah. Do you think you're driven more by success or fear of failure?
Oh, that's a challenging one. Probably fear of failure. I think like I'm definitely not like the shiny lights person, which like sort of doesn't really make sense because then there's like a new challenge or a new opportunity. And yeah, it's like you want to make it work and want to make it successful. But yeah, it's probably the driver of it not fucking up. Then they're like, it working out really well. Yeah.
But that's awesome because too, I think about all the things that you've innovated over the time that you've been there and, you know, bringing out new flagships, getting a 5-axis sea machine. Like you've done a lot of that stuff. And I feel like you're doing something, I think, for a greater purpose, which is probably a big part of your success there. Your drive is amazing. And I think it was probably one of the things that got you the Rising Star Award, which is, I remember when we first met, that was something that I was like, holy shit, she's won this like massive international award. What is the award and why did you win it, or how did it come about?
Well, so firstly, the award, it's similar to like a rising star, I suppose, in like footy. So it's someone newish into the industry. So you have to be under 32 to be nominated, and you have to be with a boat builder. So it's like specifically for boat builders and boat manufacturers. And it's for someone making a difference within their company or within their industry. And then, the reason for sort of the nomination was I went to Mets in 2022, my first time over there, and I went by myself to try and, it was when we started the innovation process for our 255 formula. So I was going over there to check out new products, but there's too much happening at work and it was Mum's 50th. So I was like, I'm going to have to go by myself. So went over there and met Kyle from Riv, who had won that award previously, like when he was younger. And he had like off the cuff sort of mentioned that like I should go for the award. And I was like, I'm not doing that. But I mentioned it to Mum and Dad and Michael at work. And then, lo and behold, they did nominate me for it. And they got a lot of references and supplier recommendations of people or customers. And some of the letters that they wrote for that was just like some of the nicest things I've ever heard about myself.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was still super weird to read back on them. If I probably should have a look at them. And
But how does it make you feel to know that you have that impact on, it's not just a boat, right? Yeah. What were some of those letters that you received? What did they say? And
well, like one of them was from Lynchy, who, is one of our customers, had 2 Edencrafts, and he had retired work and brought an Edencraft like shortly after he retired, and he was feeling a bit lost after retiring, and like he found his new home in Edencraft, and like in us as a family, like he came to mine and Patty's wedding, and we're about to go to Italy in June together, like as a family. Like they're just an extension of our family, but that all came about from buying the boat. And one of the things like Lynchy had written in the letter was like from 2018 to say like 2022 when they were sort of doing the nomination, like the growth he had seen in me was like unbelievable. And then like him like sort of writing that and me seeing like I was like a bit of a scared, like sweet little innocent girl to then being able to like comfortably stand up in front of our like family days where we have like 300 or 400 people and like have a speech and not be absolutely shitting myself. Still get nervous, but I used to just like, you couldn't speak to me for like the whole day and probably the day before, like in 2018 if I had to make a speech or something like that. So just, I don't know, shining a mirror on that growth was like pretty surreal. And like the things that he wrote about us changing his life, like it was so, so special.
So you received that letter and a bunch of other letters and then end up winning this award, right? So tell me about the win, and also I'm curious, what do you think it means about you and Edencraft and what you do for people?
So winning the award was like pretty surreal. It was in the National Maritime Museum in Amsterdam. It's like the most amazing building like that you've ever seen, and just this like way over the top event. Like it was incredible. We're a fiberglass trailer boat manufacturer, but there's like super yacht like boat builders like in the same room. So it was just completely overwhelming and amazing. And I've got a little bit of a funny story because we did have a bloke throw up on our table. So that was like, I was so nervous. But then, someone literally threw up on our table. This is like half an hour before the award. And we had to move tables and everything. Like it was a saga.
From being nervous, or just was he hammered?
Yeah, he had like, I don't know, like 2 bottles of red, I reckon. And like, it was gross, but it was so funny.
The story you don't think at Mets Trade.
Yeah, like I was definitely not expecting that. Yeah, it was like a proper gala, like so fancy. But so then it was super special and just really surreal being in a room with those sort of people and like being up there on stage and getting to know people that have just done so much within the industry. It's like very, very special. And still like I'm not very good with like self accolades. So I wasn't very good when they were like trying to do the post interview and they're like, how's it make you feel? I'm like, it's so great for the company. And they're like, but what about you? I'm like,
you personally.
I really struggle. And I think I do still really struggle with that. It has been so amazing for the growth of Edencraft and like just putting our brand out there. It's given me a little bit more confidence in myself, I think, to put myself out there and like back myself, I suppose, by like other people thinking that I deserve that. to actually like put myself out there and do talks and presentations and things like that I would normally feel a bit out of my depth on.
To me, sounds like you're not wanting to, I guess, put yourself in the spotlight of the award. It's like a really good quality of a leader, I think, being selfless, right? Did you always have that leadership quality like growing up, or is it something that you think you've developed over time?
I think I have always had it growing up. I've like through all my sporting teams, I was always the captain or vice captain, but I've never been like the loud, like outgoing person, like more like the supporter, like try and get everyone like sort of on the journey with me, even like in netball and stuff. And like even when I was a coach, like I truly believe like you're only as good as your worst player. So like you really need to invest in that person, or that if you're not a great team, then you're nothing. And yeah, that's definitely how I think of business. And I only really learned that connection like a couple years ago. I was like, what was something you were really good at? I was like, I was a really good netball coach, actually. Won 3 grand finals in a row.
Wow.
When I was a coach, I had a really good team, but I was like, what was my like process through all of that? And that's when I realized like it was about bringing a team together, and I was like methodical on like systems and like doing the hard work. And then I think that's how I operate at work and how I am as a leader. Yeah,
you built a big team. Like, so where did it start at Edencraft when you guys bought Edencraft? And then what are you at now team-wise?
So when we brought it, I think there was 2 employees. So like the previous owner and then 2 other workers, an apprentice and a full-time. And then we hired 2 more apprentices, I reckon, and another boat builder that had built Edencrafts for on and off for like 15 years. And then, over the last 9 years, we're now at about 44, 45, I think.
Yeah, wow.
I've hired a lot recently, like literally 8 people in like the last 2 months.
So if you have 45 people that are building, most of them boat builders, like what does that look like? And then I'd love for you to take people through the process of what it looks like and how long it takes and the different stages of when people want to buy an Edencraft.
Firstly, we've got about 10 or so in the office. And then we have our service center, so mechanics and engine sales there. And then we've got Edencraft Creative, which is the 5-axis CNC machine where we've got designers, programmers, and people that run the machine. And then, the rest on the floor, so labor and production managers. And the process from, I suppose, first inquiry or first touch point, whether that's like on social media or a boat show or like a friend, they've seen a friend's Edencraft or a friend of a friend's Edencraft, or they saw one at a petrol station or something.
That happens a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think genuinely like the first time someone sees an Edencraft, like their first thing is like, wow, what is that? If they haven't heard of it, which is a pretty cool thing to hear back about the product you build. And then we are all, I think, super lovely. Everyone that works for us is amazing. And we really try to make sure that entire experience is so special. Like we know that people that are buying our boats genuinely like have dreamed for a really long time, or they've worked their asses off like for a really long time, and then they can finally afford to invest in a boat that's going to give them freedom to go further offshore or go spend more time with their children, or just do the things that they want to do and do it easier, more comfortably, safer, in a nicer boat, and something that looks like really good as well. So right from that first initial phone call or website inquiry, we want to make that really special. So generally that's like how to start. And then eventually they'll come in for a factory tour, and then we'll show them around the factory. So
I've been to the factory.
Yeah.
Like people's impressions too when they see certain things, because you guys do it really well, like a well-oiled machine and growing. What happens when they come in the factory tour?
Generally, they'll come through the office. We have a nice history wall up. We'll take them through and meet everyone that's in the office, and then we'll head down the back and start with lamination, where the boat starts, where it's born, where it comes from a drum of resin and then turns into a boat a few months later. There is where we do 3 types of molding. So we do the open, traditional, old school molding, like hand lay and chopper gun. And we do infusion vacuum bag molding on our hard tops and small parts, especially for our newer models. And then we also do RTM. So that's where we've got the 2 molds that get an A and a B side gel coated, put together and then sucked together.
The sandwich.
Yeah. So that all happens in there. And that's always a really cool process. Like obviously we do it like day in, day out. So we know how boats are built, but like so often our customers are like, oh my God, is the gel coat the first thing that goes down. It's like, yeah, like the color happens first. And that always is really impressive for people when they learn that. And then just when you explain the process of how they're built and how much time and effort goes into like each layer of the whole laminate and how much time it spends in the lamination shed before it can even be popped out of the mold and how important all of that structural integrity is. It's so cool to like, see the value in what we do. I love that part. And then, yeah, we take them over to the joining shed. So that's once everything's popped out of the mold and ready to start all the substructures. So the foam filling, fuel tanks in, decks will get all their conduits and everything run so the rigging can run through and the floors will start going on. The boats will come together and start looking like an actual boat. So yeah, that part's always like pretty cool as well for the customers, and it's always very noisy in that shed. They're always doing heaps of grinding.
Yeah, tons. Yeah. When we were there last time, I think we had to beg them to stop just for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It was good.
So then after that, it moves into fit out. So that's when all the bells and whistles start to go on. That's when you sort of like, you're doing the factory tour and you're like, I can sort of tell that they're not really listening because they get distracted by like the big engines.
Just frothing.
Yeah, they're like, whoa, their eyes like light up. And I'm like, okay, so we'll keep going. Yeah. I have learned in factory tours now to, once we go in there, just like this is fit out. And then just like take a pause and then they admire.
Let them, let
and
the
then,
jaws hang.
Yeah, after like 15, 20 seconds, then they'll look at me being like, okay, you can go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And then we also do all our custom stainless and fuel tanks in-house as well. So that's like just offside of the fit out shed. And people love that, like that we do our own fuel tanks and so much quality control in all of our processes. And then, yeah, we'll go and show them the CNC machine and that side of things as well, which is pretty epic. And that's the same sort of thing when you get to the CNC machine, especially if it's running. You can't talk, like you just need to let them watch it, let them admire, because or else they're not paying any attention.
That's awesome. And the cool thing about that too is it's probably not their only time that they'll be at the factory, because you guys, I know, promote being a part of the build quite a lot. So you get a lot of people that come and see everything and check on things. And why do you do that? And how do you do that? And why is that awesome for the whole experience you guys provide?
Well, we do it because we're an open book. Like we have nothing to hide and we're so proud of what we do and how we do it. And we think that that's like the most important part of our boat, and why they're so special is it's because of the way that they're built and the care and attention to detail that goes into building every part of the boat, and especially the parts that you can't see when it's finished. So all the underfloor stuff is really cool. And for our customers, it's like normally it's the biggest investment that they're making besides their house. So like, for example, on Friday, we've got a customer that's coming, their hull's being pulled from the mold. So we'll time the hull pull when the customer can make it. So like 12 o'clock lunchtime, that hull can come out of the mold so that customer can be there to see their new baby being born. So that's like super special. And we always try to time it as best we can. Like, if we need to wait a day, then we'll wait a day to make sure that the customer can be there for that hull pull, because that's always the special part.
What was the vision behind like including things like that make it really special for them? Like, because you do a lot of stuff like that, and it's not just that, right? Because it's a very cool thing to say, we're going to like adjust production schedule just so you can see this. It's because this is an awesome thing for you, right?
Yeah, I think like when we first brought Edencraft, because we weren't building that many boats, every hull that came out of the mold was like, we nearly stopped production to be like, wow, like a new boat's built. Or when a customer was coming to pick up their boat, like the whole of production would like stop and have a beer with that customer. It was so special that was happening. And then as we started to build more boats and had more workers, like it wasn't economical to be able to do that for every hull that pops out of the mold or every customer boat that's picked up. But we still wanted to make it that feeling for the customer, because it was more so for them. Like we got a massive kick out of it, obviously. But I'd say for maybe like 6-8 months, we lost touch with that a little bit. And we were probably feeling like a little bit less fulfilled. So it was almost, I would say, like maybe a little bit of a selfish thing that we did that. Yeah, because we weren't feeling that like gratification of like when someone sees a hull come out of the mold. Like it is so cool when that happens.
Amazing.
So yeah, it was probably selfish. Now we always like do that, or try to make sure we can time it up if we can, or we at least always make sure that we can film it and then send it to the customer as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so how long does it take from right now on average, if someone orders a boat from first inquiry kind of, or contract signed till they get delivery?
So for our 565 and 6 meter, it's normally around like 4 to 5 months. And then for our formula or 233, it's normally around like 5 to 6. And then for the 255, that's normally like 6 to 8. Recently, they've pushed out a little bit because we're doing a few new models. So that always puts a bit of a strain on production. But we're so fortunate. Our customers are like so understanding. So they're pretty good at dealing with a few delays, which is nice.
Well, I think that's like pretty amazing time too, compared to the industry average, right? Of how long it takes to build a boat. Like I know a lot of comparable trailer boats, sometimes you're waiting a year or two, depending on how custom it is and I guess how big the company is.
That doesn't take into account the lead time before we start. So sometimes there's that little wait, but the build time's not too bad.
Okay, cool. So it's a family business, right? Take me back to when your family first decided to purchase Edencraft. Like, why did your dad decide to purchase Edencraft back in the day?
So he had gone to buy it actually a few times with one of his best friends and like just didn't really work out. And then his best friend passed away. And then 2 years later, we used to have a hardware store and Mum and Dad were selling the hardware store, and the owners of Edencraft at the time got wind of that and approached Dad to see if he was still interested in buying it. And he was like, oh, nah, like we're just about to start like settling down a little bit, offloading the hardware store, which was a retail business. They still had their fire sprinkler business and direct fire supplies. So they had 3 businesses, selling one, thought 2 would be easy. So didn't really think it'd really work to have Edencraft, and then obviously it planted a seed in Dad's head. We also did think he was having a midlife crisis. So
more businesses.
Yeah, within that like few month period, like Dad did get me to look at a Mustang, and he's like not a car person at all. So he wanted me to look at buying him a Mustang, and then he also did want me to look at getting a boat from America because it was like some 40, 50 foot boats that were like selling for cheap at that time. And like I fully got like quotes for a captain to like drive it over and like how much fuel it would be and everything. Like I was deep into the investigation of like what he was going to do with the money from selling the hardware store.
Yeah.
And then it would have been like a week later. He's like come home and he said he had brought Edencraft, and Mum and I are like, he's definitely having a midlife crisis. Like what is happening? Yeah. And then I think it might have even been like, I don't know, maybe 4 weeks after that, he came home and he's like, oh, I just bought 5 acres around the road. And Mum's like, okay, I'm going to kill you now. Like this is not a midlife crisis. This is like something worse.
You're going on a path.
Yeah. At that time I was on uni holidays and Dad had said just like go check out the bookwork. And it was a bit of a shit show. Like it was like orders written on cardboard, and there was fiberglass dust just like everywhere in the office.
And the computers, they're working well?
Yeah. Like MyOb like didn't exist.
Yeah.
There was a lot of sorting out, to say the least, to try and sort out the bookwork. But yeah, it was like the best thing ever that happened.
When your dad bought Edencraft, when did you come into the picture and how did you find your place in there?
So I think we brought Edencraft in mid-May. And I was halfway through uni at the time. So I had a year and a half to go. And I finished the last year and a half working full time at Edencraft.
Perfect. Real world experience at least.
Yeah. It was actually really cool because although it was an existing business, it had an incredible brand. The actual structure of the business and everything sort of around it was non-existent. Mm-hmm. So I was literally able to put in things I was learning like straight into practice. I didn't even have to undo anything because it was just not done.
Yeah, right.
So that was cool being able to do that and like integrate things straight away. Yeah, we started hiring workers and apprentices and boat builders just to try and turn it into a production facility, I suppose. And where it was in Geelong was really small. So we had to relocate, which is lucky that Dad brought the property, which we did over Christmas, which was like a pretty crazy time.
All the things are lining up.
Yeah. Yeah. Once we moved to where we are now in Moolap, that was when things really started to change. And yeah, I think at that time as well was when we actually developed our logo, the Edencraft E logo. And yeah, from there, I feel like that's when, I don't know, I feel like it all changed after that.
Yeah. What was it about it? Like the moment you think it changed, like, why do you think that? And what was the feeling beforehand?
Maybe the fact that we were like all in the one place instead of being in so many different areas or just like 2 different facilities, but it brought everyone together. We started to think about things like a brand. We learn a lot about the history as well of Edencraft, I think, like during that time, moving all of the stuff that was there, like you're going through and finding some old paperwork and old news articles and stuff like that. And I think after that was like around about 6 months, so meeting more customers. And actually, I think Lynchy's boat was the first boat that was handed over when we had moved to Buckley Grove.
Right.
And that was like a time I remember we were standing like at the door where we used to always do the handovers at the garage door, and Lynchy and his wife like pulled in, and like Lynchy, like you could see tears in his face, and Lynchy's like this hard stoic man who's like soft as butter on the inside, but throughout the build process like he always seemed like hard and stoic. And then when he saw his boat and like he was just so happy, and that joy and pride in his purchase and the fact that like we did that for him and we made him that happy, that was probably like a light bulb or life-changing moment, I think, for me.
That's amazing. And then so at that stage, like what was demand like? And then did you have enough to kind of give that experience to so many more people when they're ordering?
Yeah, so we were pretty fortunate when we brought Edencraft, there was a pretty full order book. So they'd sold a heap of boats at a boat show, I think the year before. And then we went to a boat show, in 2017 and then 2018. So we sort of just like stayed on top of it and kept building the brand. So yeah, we were fortunate not to really have to look for sales at that point, which meant we were able to focus on production processes and improving the boats that we did have and making the molds better and nicer finishes and try to make them more efficient and just bring some new processes into it while still retaining everything that people know and love about Edencraft.
I was going to say, because like Edencraft is a legacy brand, right? It's got a big history, deep history. And then you guys come in and you want to continue that legacy and try and find the balance between the innovation side of things, right? Like changing things for the better. What's the balance been like for you about the brand? Like what's never going to change? And then what are some of the things that you get excited about innovating on?
Yeah, so I think what won't ever change at our core is the build process, and that, if you're buying an Edencraft, you're buying like the best build process that you can get, and it's going to last you a lifetime, and you're going to feel safe in it, and it's going to be reliable, and you're always going to have that feeling of you have something special. Like I don't think that we're ever going to be the type of company that's going to be able to build 1,000 boats, nor do we want to. So we're always going to have that like special factor. And then with the innovation side of things, it's nearly always paying like a bit of homage to where we've been and where we came from. Like that was way before I was born, but we wouldn't be where we are today if the people before us didn't do what they did then. So it's really paying respect to the things that they did and why they did what they did at that point, and then continuing to do that, but incorporating the newer products and things that people want, like cushions or toilets.
Some luxuries, some pie warmers, stuff like that. I just know from shooting the Escape event, like having it in Eden, maybe where the original builder is, like what are some of those things that you do to maintain that legacy feeling?
So yeah, definitely our Escape to Eden. So our annual trip, going back to where it all began, Edencraft started in Eden. So it's a really special place for us to go and take all of our customers, and they bring all of their families if they want to come, and we bring all of our staff. So our staff get to experience what they build every day actually like in its environment where it's meant to perform. And it just makes them have so much more pride in what they're doing, and they get to experience why our customers love their boats so much as well. So that's super special.
It's an awesome thing. What do you see the, effect of that for your staff after doing it?
Oh, it's definitely a high because our staff work so hard. They truly like do anything to make sure that the boat is perfect, and the standards are so high, and they hold each other accountable. And like if there's a deadline and there's a customer picking up a boat, like we've got a delivery tomorrow, and I called Patty last night and there were still 2 workers there at 8 o'clock, which obviously don't want, but they're making sure that that boat is perfect for that customer when they come to collect it at Friday lunchtime. And I think if they didn't have that connection to the customer and to the environment, then they might not do those sort of things. And it, you know, might mean that we're pushing that delivery date back and then they miss a fishing trip or something like that. So yeah, it's really, really important. And it also brings all the staff together. So enjoy each other's company outside of work and get to relax a little bit and get to fish too. So it's always fun.
It's a big bonus of going on. Yeah. From being at the Escape event, like it was very special to see. Everyone has a deep passion for the brand, I think, that works there and loves what they do.
Yeah.
So it adds a lot to the whole experience and end product too. Thinking about family and community, if you think about like what your family brings to the business, like it's a big business, but it's a family business, right? So it's a unique position to be in. What influence do you think family has on the business now, on Edencraft?
It really is like everything that we do. So all of our staff are like family to us. People make big changes in their life or sacrifice things or do things to be a part of our Edencraft family. Like Joel, he just moved from Melbourne to Geelong and made like a huge life decision because he believes in what we're doing and what we can get for the brand and for everyone else. Like it's something that's bigger than yourself and you're in it with everyone else that loves Edencraft as well. So definitely the community aspect is incredibly special. And then for our customers as well. So them being able to bring their families down when they come and buy the boat and everyone is a part of it and their kids' faces, like when their dads like or mums are telling them that like, yep, we're going to do it. Like we're going to buy the boat. And you just see like the 17, 16-year-old boy that's sitting there and he's like bursting with excitement. And it's just so special, that whole process. And I've definitely noticed a shift in the last 5-6 years to now. Like typically it used to just be like the guy coming in that was purchasing the boat for him. And now I would say like 80% of the time it's a family or they're bringing their kids, they're bringing their wife and everyone's really excited about that. And also our family day that we have in November where that's open to anyone. So whether they're going to buy an Edencraft one day or they're not going to buy an Edencraft or they're going to buy an Edencraft when they win Tats Lotto, anyone is welcome to that. Like if you love Edencraft as much as we do, we invite them there and just celebrate how cool it is that we get to build Edencraft boats.
It's so amazing and it's rare, I think, in many businesses, but it takes a vision, like a clear vision and understanding why you're in business. What kind of work did you do, I guess, to define that when you guys first bought Edencraft, and how does it influence where you are today?
So I think in 2018 we went through a government program to help define like our values and our why and our mission and vision and why we do what we do. And that was like I think it was a 6-month process and we had most of our management involved when we did that. And trying to get what was in our heads out onto paper of why we do what we do. Yeah, the consensus of it was like to bring joy and make people happy and them being able to experience freedom and the life that they want to enjoy with their family or with their special people in their life, their mates, whoever it is that makes them feel the best. That's what we wanted to do. And we wanted to do it not just the boat, like that was sort of like the vehicle that gets them there, but it's the experience and the process and like the journey after they have their boat where it all changes and where the pride, I still can't even really explain it. You know, when you love something so much, it's like, how do you actually explain it properly?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's definitely that. And we wanted to make it the entire experience, not just like the boat itself, because lots of people build boats, but yeah, it's that different experience and the process, and that once you have your boat, then you're a part of the community forever. And you might sell your boat and get a different boat, but always sort of feel like people come back because they want to be a part of that community.
That's really special.
Yeah.
And it does add so much to the whole ownership experience. I think with that special experience, like what do you see change in your customers, or what have you seen over time by having that as something that drives everything you guys do at Edencraft?
So we're now starting to have people come back for their like 2nd, 3rd, 4th Edencraft, or they're telling their friends that they need to buy an Edencraft, or their dad's best friend's son has an Edencraft and they've said they have to get an Edencraft. Like these like wildly loose connections. And they're like, there's no other boat. There's nothing else. Like, you need to get that. And then if they haven't heard of it, then they start following, then they want to be a part of that community. I do remember at one boat show, I had a guy, so he had a center console, and like, we don't build center consoles in production yet, but they're coming. And he was like, oh, so I love your events. Like, do you reckon I'd be able to come? And I'm like, not a no person either. So it was like killing me. I'm like, is it a modified Edencraft or something that you've converted into a center console? He was like, no, like different brand. I'm like, I'm like so sorry.
Yeah.
Like, you can come, but you can't bring your boat. And he's like, oh, but I want to come to fish. And I'm like, you're just not going to be able to come. Like, if you buy an Edencraft, you can come. And that was like a bit of a wake up call to me that like these events that we have are so special to other people as well. And it was, I think it was another selfish thing, to be honest. Like, we weren't really getting to use our boats at all because we were so busy. We always had so much production to do. Like, it was so hard to get away or try to escape to go fishing for a weekend, and especially as a family because we're all working within the business. So I think we started the events because it's like, okay, well, this is a work trip. Like, we have to go.
Good excuse.
Yeah. So that's sort of where they came from. And then, invite all of our customers, and then, they bring their families, and now it's this thing that's just awesome. And we're starting to plan more Edencraft escapes sort of all over Australia that people are like wanting to know when they are 12 months out so they can put it in their calendar to make sure that they can be there no matter what state it is. So it's that's incredible that people plan their years just to be able to come to our events.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's wild to think about, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, you're not just a boat builder.
No.
You know? It's so much more than that.
Yeah.
Family being like a big thing for you guys. What's one thing about your family's influence on Edencraft that people might not realize, but it's actually like fundamental to its success?
I don't know if it's the right word, but like moral compass, always doing the right thing. Mum and Dad have both always done it. Like, you do the right thing for long enough, or that you do the right thing by someone, it'll eventually pay off, even if in that moment it is a detriment to you or might hurt your hip pocket, or, something's not good enough, and it's like, well, put it in the bin, start again. We're not disappointing this customer. It's that thing, I think, that has given us, I suppose, like the long-term success and that trust as well, that people know that no matter what happens, the right thing will be done by them. Really like humanizing the process as well. Like, we're all human, like shit can happen. If you've brought a boat but then your situation changes, like, we'll help you try and move it on. We never want someone to really lose out. And I think that's probably something that's come from Mum and Dad, always doing the right thing. Like, if there's something bad that's happened in the community or within Mum and Dad's friendship circle or something like that, they're always the first people to be right there by their side and supporting them and making sure that everything's sorted and making sure their family is sorted. And that, I suppose, is similar characteristics to what we've put through the business. And without that, I don't think we would be where we are now.
You can tell too. It's the intention. It's like going above and beyond and making sure people don't leave with a bad taste in their mouth.
Yeah.
And community, like going to an event, is like clear that that's actually how it happens, I think from interviewing a lot of the owners, just saying like, you guys are there for everything. And if it's not right or it needs to be done, you fix it. No questions asked, bring it down. Tell me about the launch of the 255 formula. Like, what was the vision for it? Like, why did you say we have to make this boat? And then how did it come to life?
The driver of wanting to make the boat was to bridge the gap or open us up to a new market where they still want the best that they can get for fishing. And they want to be able to go out all day and be safe and comfortable, but they also want to be able to use a boat in like the Sydney Harbour and it look good and it be comfortable and the whole family can go on it, and it's a boat you can sit there and have a drink and make some margaritas like on the deck, and it's not like you're going to step on some fish scales and stuff. So, or tuna blood, like it's sort of wanted to have the best of both worlds and bring it into the one boat and really open us up into a new market. So like our classic formula, like the hardcore fishers are still always going to buy that. But there's also the hardcore fishers that like the luxuries in life as well. So we wanted to be able to meet that. And we also, I suppose, we're seeing like a bit of a trend of people having like big moored boats that wanted to be able to have the best trailer boat that money can buy, but they have had the luxury of having a beautiful moored boat that's stunning inside and beautiful upholstery and flooring and stuff like that. And our classic formula wasn't really meeting that need. So that was probably another reason.
Yeah. Filling the gap. The other thing I think is that it has the luxury features to it, but they're all built to survey.
Yep.
So you can beat the crap out of it. Not that you should be promoting that, but some of the owners that I've been on the boat with love to drive it hard. And, you know, it stands up like it's a robust boat. So bringing a new model into the world, it's a very interesting journey. What's the process of bringing a new model like the 255 to life, like from initial concept right through to first delivery?
The 255 was the first boat we've done with an in-house designer. So it was sort of a new process, I suppose, for us. But what we did originally was like, we know that the formula is epic. Like it's an incredible boat. And a really common seller for us was our 233 with a pod, which is a 7.7 meter boat. So we know the hull's already good. Let's work with that and start with that. And we've already got amazing foundations, and then we'll improve up on the top deck. That was the process with that. We've definitely refined our design process a little bit better now. So that probably took about 12 months of like weekly R&D meetings with like 5 of us. So it's like a big investment of time, and then obviously a big investment of resources and money to get the boat into production.
There's so many challenges too. Like the journey is long. It's 12 months to bring it into just like from, I guess, concept stage, right? To then starting to actually build molds and stuff. Like, so do you have to send it out for testing, or what does that whole process look like?
Yeah. So once we had got the design pretty well down pat, then we sent it off to our surveyors and engineers over in WA, Jay, and then he runs it through like 1 billion tests on his computer. And that's when we can figure out what horsepower it could have, hence the 800 horsepower.
Behemoth. That's crazy.
And what the stability is going to be like, how it's going to go in survey, everything basically. And he came back being like, this boat is epic. Like you've done a great job. And then goes the production process. So then you start that next stage. And looking back on it, we got it all done, but nearly gave ourselves a few mental breakdowns in the process. I saw this reel actually on Facebook the other day, and it was like being a business owner, and it was like an old choo-choo train going along with like the timber train rails, and there's like a bit of timber sticking out, and this guy runs down to the front and he picks up the timber, and then he's like holding the timber, and he's like trying to stay off like so that he doesn't fall onto the train, and he's like holding the timber so that doesn't fall and like make the train crash, and like wriggling around. And it was like, that was what it's like to launch a new boat. It was just like crazy experience. And definitely like we purchased the CNC machine. So we had the 5-axis CNC machine. We decided to use new production processes, new types of molding, and a new model all in the one go. So literally learning about 10 new things every single day. And then, getting the boat ready for its marketing shoot that was like the big end goal, was literally just working like 12, 14-hour days for like a really long time. And then we're so close, we're nearly there. And then the windscreen finally arrives from interstate or whatever. It's just late. Something happened. The first one smashed before it like left the factory. And then it just like, just one of those things. It's just ridiculous that happens. And then it's like, it's all right. It's finally going to be here. We'll put it on. It'll be sweet. And then the radius of the windscreen's like completely out. Like it's not even, you couldn't even become close to make it fit. And then we're just freaking out on what to do. So then we're like, we're going to have to put perspex in it. And then the new glass one was meant to come. And then that came and that was wrong as well. So
back on the train.
Yeah. Oh, it was like so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like it's just shouldn't have been able to make it happen. But, like with a bit of grit and determination and some bloody incredible employees, like anything can be done. So we made it and we had our shoot. It was an incredible weekend, and it was like so fun to have you guys there and shine a light on like how special it is what we do and how excited all our customers were for the new boat. And it was just like definitely the highlight of my year was Eden, and probably the worst part of my year was like the 10 days before.
Peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. That's awesome. Again, drive. And also probably some of your dad's like midlife crisis thing, trying to do 8 things at once.
Yeah.
That may run in the family.
Yeah.
Part of the
I think
family
so.
business. There's a lot of challenges. You just talked about many of them about building a new boat. From the outside perspective, what do you think people think bringing a new model to life is versus what it actually takes?
Yeah, I definitely don't think people understand how hard it is to bring a new fiberglass boat model into production, whether it's a seat box or a whole new boat. Like, there is so much work that goes into that, which people definitely don't understand. The general public certainly don't. Anyone who's a boat builder or in the industry definitely understands, and they feel your pain. But yeah, it's incredible how special it is when you get a new boat out on the water. And I don't know if this will change or not change the more new models that we build, but like once you take it off the trailer and it doesn't sink, I'm like, woof. Like, that is great. Big tick.
Put the plug in, perfect. Yeah. How's the 255 changed Edencraft for the better since you launched it?
Yeah, so it's given us a whole new range of customers and brought a whole new type of people into the Edencraft community, I suppose, that we didn't have previously. It also, like, internally has given us the confidence to literally know that we can do anything and do it in like a less stressful way, hopefully moving forward.
Learn from your lessons.
Yeah. But yeah, it definitely gives the team confidence that like once we put our mind to something or if we decide we're going to do something, like it's going to happen and it's going to be great and we're going to have fun while we do it, even if it's a little bit stressful.
I think brand building is a big thing that you do and you understand the value of, a lot of which we talked about already. From your perspective, what does telling the story of your brand play in the success of a brand?
I think it gives some connection and it makes it a little bit more special than just buying that boat that's on the floor, or just adds more value to the entire process. And like running a business and having a business is not an easy task. Like it's constantly like a juggle. Or when we were in the car earlier, I was saying it feels like we're in like a marathon hurdle race. So like you go right for a little bit and then it's like, oh, hurdle.
Yeah.
So having that brand and the connection to brand, it's a constant reminder of why we do what we do, and that it's really easy to do that when things are going well or when things are easy. But then when it's a challenging time, having that brand and the connection to our customers and the story of our history, it all makes sense, and it just makes it easier to keep on keeping on if it's a challenging time or like it's the middle of winter and it's like bloody freezing in Geelong.
Telling stories about your brand, whether that's the history or how customers experience it or some of the things that they just love about being out on the water, like what does that do for your customers?
Gives them the confidence in their decision and it makes them comfortable making their decision. So they come to you and they already feel like they know you, or like they've already spoken to you because they've watched your videos or they've heard the history or they understand the whole brand, that they're like, sometimes I'll have people tell me more about Edencraft than what I know about Edencraft. Like they've watched probably more of the rundowns than I've watched of the rundowns. So it's that connection to the brand, and it's like you can go and buy anything really. Like if you want to buy anything, go buy anything. But there's like, why are you buying that particular item? Or like, why do people want to buy a Rolex? Or why do you want to buy a Range Rover or a Ferrari? Like it's because there's something else and there's something connecting you to that. It's a status symbol. It's the quality. It's the story. It's the history. And all of that comes into brand. And being able to communicate that like what we did in Eden was just so special. And yeah, like the way you were able to do that and like present that from our customers and from us has been incredible. Like the response on that has been amazing, because for me, I've always found it like really hard to articulate. And then like being able to see our customer testimonials or their Edencraft escape story, and it's like, yes, that's exactly that is exactly what I was trying to say.
That's awesome to have something that connects with you guys and the customers so much that when they come to you, it's a different conversation, and it makes your brand even more special than it already is, which is really cool. So when you decided we're going to make a 255 formula, you also decided let's buy a 5-axis CNC machine?
Yep.
Okay.
So I think before we had probably decided on the 255, it was like we need to bring out some new models to continue growing. Like we're going to get to a cap and we're not going to be able to grow. And the goal for us is always to continue to grow. And then Dad had the foresight to say, well, I think we're going to need an in-house CNC machine. We're very big on doing everything in-house. So I think that's where that probably initially came from. And then Dad's like, what do you reckon of getting a CNC machine? I was like, well, I don't know. It sounds pretty cool. Go for it.
Sounds fun. Yeah.
Not really that much thought, I think, went into like the initial decision. Definitely like a lot of effort went into picking which machine we got. But I just remember him pulling me into his office and he's like, what do you reckon about getting a CNC machine? I was like, sounds expensive, but yeah, it sounds good. He's like, well, how are we going to bring out new models and have to rely on subcontractors to do it and like big outlay of cash every time you like want to get a new plug? It's like, yeah, well, I think let's get one ourselves. It can't be that hard. Other people do it. It turns out it is pretty hard.
What's the hardest part about it for you?
Like it was a huge learning curve before we even got the machine or trying to figure out what was the best in the industry, which we settled with a CMS Poseidon, which are made in Italy. And like it's tough as nails, this machine. We've learnt that. Pretty tough. Everything was new, like different types of tools, even just like 5-axis. Like I wasn't super good at maths when I was younger and just trying to like figure out the 5-axis situation. Like that, even that's like overwhelming. There's like a little trick that the boys do. I can't even, it's like that.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, to like figure out the axes
many
and
axes.
yeah. But yeah, just all of it pretty much. And then the install, raising our roof that we had to lift the roof of the factory where we were and like reset the concrete so it was completely level. The install took like 6 or 8 weeks. Then just learning the machine, programming. Yeah, there's so much. And you're dealing with composites as well, which everything reacts at different times and different stages. So yeah, it's been a huge learning curve, but so rewarding. And it's really cool to work business to business as well. Like love working directly with our customers, but working with business to business, you learn a lot more, I think, like industry wise, and people are like really willing to help and you have like awesome connections. And yeah, just it's been something so different but so cool. And yeah, we've had the machine for like 15 months now. It feels probably like 15 years. We've learned a lot. We've done 4,000 hours on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A lot of quality time.
Yeah, it's ran a lot. But yeah, it's just opened our world, I think, like to what's possible and more innovation. We've thought we were innovative when we sort of decided to buy the CNC machine, but now we deal with a lot of customers that are working in like really different types of composites that we like have never even heard of in different industries. So it's that whole side of things is sort of like just opens up your perspective on what's possible and what you can do. And yeah, without the CNC machine, like we wouldn't have learned all of that.
So what's the biggest difference you see in now having a CNC machine as part of the whole production?
Definitely the accuracy of what you're doing. Previously, like some of our molds that are, say, maybe 20 or 30 years old, like you take a measurement from one side to the other, like they're not one bit symmetrical. So we always, when we were teaching our apprentices, we're like, take all the measurements that you want, but always line up by eye before you drill, because like everything is always like a little bit out of whack in our older molds. And then since everything's been CNC'd, you can make a lot of provisions. So you, like hinges and stuff, they go in a particular area and they're already like milled out. So it's like you can't make as many mistakes or drill a hole where it's not meant to go and have to repair it. And also you can run on like really, really low tolerances. So like our new 655, all of our tolerances are 5 mil, which is crazy. Like that is such a small tolerance or a small room for error.
Yeah.
But from the 255, we ran with tolerances of 10 mil, and like having faith in the machine and our design and the programming and how we did everything with that boat, we know that it's safe to run 5 mil tolerances, and it just makes everything fit perfectly. And yeah, it fits like a glove. It's pretty cool. And you just have like, you're not restricted by someone's like will to sand in a really difficult area or something hard. Like you can literally think of anything and then draw it and mill it and, see if it works.
That's awesome. Well, that's the other thing too. Like you can innovate. Like how does the CNC machine play into your innovation even within like the 255, right?
Yeah.
New seating layouts and stuff like that. Like you can do custom work, right?
Yeah, custom work becomes really easy. Well, still not easy, but it's just really accessible. Being able to like find a solution for what someone wants, or like they articulate what they want. Our designer puts it on a drawing and then it's like, yeah, that's exactly it. Put it into the mill. We can mill like direct molds, so like one-offs that are like a lot more cost effective than a plug and a mold. So yeah, it's pretty cool, that side of things.
That's so cool. So it's Edencraft Creative is another sub company that I guess runs that. So you produce a lot of parts and plugs and stuff for Edencraft. What's the vision for that? Is it to just help Edencraft grow and build more boats? Like, what do you want 5 years from now?
So for Edencraft Creative, we want to be the like number one large format composite plug manufacturer in Australia. We don't want to necessarily have the highest volume, but we want to have like the best quality product, and we want to be able to bring like effective solutions to all sorts of industries. Like a project that's like on the go at the moment is for a pool company, and they're bringing out like a new range of pools where they initially thought that they needed 9 plugs for 9 different sizes, but then need 1 plug and then just have like a different insert. So like instead of investing in 9 plugs, which might be like $1 million investment, they can invest in 1, which might be like 150 or 200,000. So that return on investment is so much better for them. Like we could have had like nearly $1 million job, but our goal is still to help them and make them a better company. So it's sort of really similar values to Edencraft boats, but it's for like a business to business perspective, I suppose. And then same in turn with Edencraft International, the boat builder being Edencraft Creative's customer. It's the same thing. So we're always learning on ourselves and trialing new products and trialing new things for Edencraft Creative. And then anything that we learn that works, we want to tell our customers from Creative that like, hey, we've just done this and it was like way easier. So like maybe you should give it a crack. So yeah, that's the vision for Edencraft Creative. And it's really a really cool industry, all of that sort of stuff, and different machining, and there's just like the scope for that is huge.
It's awesome. Very, very cool. So many exciting things happening. Tell me what else is exciting about the next 5 years for Edencraft International? Like what's the vision there?
We want to continue building our range. So next up for us is center consoles. So bringing out a brand new center console, which will be our 655 center console, that is based off our 6 meter offshore a little bit, but we've changed a mountain of things in that boat to just make it perfect for the center console environment for up north. And then after that, we've got a 6.5 meter hardtop coming out. And then after that, it'll be a bigger boat, about 29 foot.
Yeah, right.
Is the plan.
Cool.
That'll probably be about 2 years away.
Mm-hmm.
And then continue to build bigger boats. We need to build bigger sheds before that.
Right.
But yeah, the plan is to continue building bigger boats. Dad's dream is to have a 50-foot boat that he built and designed. So that's like the end goal. He's hoping 5 years. I'm thinking 10. So
there comes the drive again. Yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That'll be very cool. Different market, obviously, than the trailer market.
Yeah, 100%. Not really trailable.
Yeah. And so what about internationals in the name? Is it mostly going to be just Australia, or what's the vision?
Yeah, no, definitely planning to export. Actually, from when you had Eric on your podcast is what drove us to reach out to Eric. We'd previously met at a boat show through Short Marine through Sam. One of our designers was obsessed with Eric, so we ran up to him at a boat show like fangirling.
Yeah. He has that effect on people. He just knows so much, and he's a funny guy.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've since built a really awesome relationship with Eric, and he is essentially our US ambassador. So he's on the ground in the US setting up our dealer network over there, and we'll be distributing Edencrafts for us with us. Yeah, in later this year in 2026.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
A whole new world ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple extra challenges there.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the journey, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And wouldn't be the same if it was just doing the same old and easy stuff, right?
No, we always wanting to definitely we have our fingers in a lot of pies, but always within the same thing and the same philosophy and mindset goes behind each thing. There's another little side project that's like sort of happening as well. Edencraft International's become a partner with Ribcraft.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So we're also going to be building Ribcrafts, the inflatable boats for government and commercial in the APAC region. So that's something that'll be happening over sort of like it'll probably begin in the next year. And that'll be a long-term partnership. So that's really exciting as well, a whole new industry.
That's very awesome.
Yeah.
So exciting. You've accomplished a lot. And how old are you now?
29.
Yeah, done a lot. If you could go back 10, 11 years and sit down with 18-year-old Josie, what would you tell her about leadership and life?
I used to really struggle with the fact that I'm like a very nice person and I can still like make shit happen, and people definitely respect if I ask them to do something, they do it. But I used to feel like I had to be a bit of an asshole. So I really struggled with that, like in a staff meeting, say if a few people had a sickie and I had to address like sickies, I'd be so nervous because I'd have to walk up there and be like, you're all like ridiculous. Like, you don't have a sickie. And I'm like, just so not me.
Yeah.
And then I've like realized now, like I tell them like when you have a sickie because you're tired, like that genuinely affects everyone else in your team. And like you're not letting down me, like you're letting down the other people that have to do overtime because you've chosen to have a sickie. And we're like really like we hardly have any sickies with our staff. Like we're pretty fortunate that I'm like, if you're tired, like tell me and we can give you a day off next week and we can schedule around it and we can make it work. But if people just like have a sickie, then it lets everyone down. But anyway, so I went on a bit off there, but the reason was like my style is to explain like why something negative impacts, and in like a empathetic way. Like I get it, you're tired, I'm tired. Like sometimes you need to have a bit of a break. But being able to articulate that and not try and be someone that I am not has definitely, it's been a lot easier the last, I would say like 3 years that I've come to realize that that's okay, that I'm not that psycho person.
Well, I wouldn't say you're a psycho person.
Yeah. No.
What do you think that's due to? I know you are very much into development.
Yeah.
Right? So is that looking into that kind of stuff? What's made you realize that?
Yeah, I think it definitely like working on myself, like doing personal development, like having a personal coach, because sort of around the same time I was like struggling with thinking that I thought I needed to be doing like something more fulfilling. And she was like, you are like literally changing people's lives, like by them getting their boat. And I'm like, oh my God, we are like, and then that was when it made me realize that what we do is like impacting people for the greater good. Like I thought that I needed to be like building a school in Africa. Like I think that was sort of like where I felt like I needed to be, which I have done that when I was like in school. I went over to India and did that and I loved it. And then I think I had that in my head that like that's how I could be a better human, and like I associated it like that. And so I think doing that and then realizing that you're helping someone as well by telling them the truth, or if they need to be told that they need to improve their work or something like that. If you're not telling them, you're doing them a disservice because you might end up firing them because they're not meeting their KPIs. But if you do tell them and they start exceeding or they know where the goalposts are, then you're actually helping them. So I think that that's probably the thing that I would want to tell myself back then, and not try and be like, I needed to be scary because like I'm 5'1". There's not much scary about me.
That's amazing, Josie. I love that. Just understanding the real value of what you do and realistically, like, the impact that you make is awesome. And I think it comes through in like experience that you give people, like we talked about. It's full circle. Very, very cool. Well, we'll do rapid fire questions because that's kind of fun.
Okay.
First thing that comes to your mind, favorite Edencraft model?
255.
Best thing you've seen at a boat show?
The really soft closing doors in the big boats.
You love them?
Yeah, like
the Vikings or the electric push button one, or just
like or say like a Riv, and you go in there and like you can't slam that door, like it's
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It is. It's a nice feature.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite piece of content that we produce together?
The Edencraft Escape like brand story. That's my favorite.
Favorite destination to travel?
With a boat, Eden.
Yeah. Awesome. How about favorite place to go on a holiday in general?
Lake Como.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, or the snow, actually.
Yeah. What's the biggest misconception about the marine industry?
It's blokey, I reckon.
Why is that not true?
I just feel like there's a lot of blokes in the marine industry, but you literally see like the softest side of the most like staunch man ever. Like when they look at a boat, like they just like melt. So excited. So yeah, I don't think it's that blokey.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I like that. You found the secret.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that you bring to work with you every day?
Willow, my dog.
I thought you were going to say that. She keeps me entertained on Instagram.
Yeah,
She's fantastic.
she's funny.
Who's a leader or entrepreneur that you look up to?
Oh, there's a few that are like close to me that like you, definitely one of them.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, that's everything you do. I just love.
You're awesome.
Yeah.
That's not why I've had you on the podcast.
Yeah,
but I
no,
appreciate that.
definitely like yourself when it comes to like all things marketing, story, and like being able to communicate effectively. And then Kyle, my mentor from Riv, he's awesome. And yeah, mum and dad like wouldn't be where I am without them. So they always teach me like sometimes what to do, what not to do.
Perfect. Lead by example.
Yeah. And then another one is Short Marine, Sam. Like he's awesome and what they've done with their brand. I like love that and like all their content as well. Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, good list. I feel honored. If you weren't leading Edencraft, what would you be doing?
I think maybe I love traveling. So I'm like really lucky with Edencraft. But yeah, probably traveling, doing something traveling, I guess.
Something meaningful, like building houses in Africa.
Yeah.
What's something that I haven't asked you that you want to talk about?
Oh, one thing we spoke about in the car when we were here was what's a misconception about me. And I was like, I don't know. I don't really think I know enough what people think about me.
Yeah.
And Tom's like, oh, they probably think that you're all sweet and innocent, but really you're just a little psycho bitch.
Oh, insight. Yeah. Insider information.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
No, then he did say he was joking, but that he's like family basically. So, you know, too much honesty. Yeah.
It's good to have a sounding board, you know, your circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep you in line.
Yeah.
What's the one thing you wish more people understood about Edencraft?
Maybe that it's like you're making the right decision when you buy the Edencraft. Particularly recently, we've had a lot of our sales come from someone who inquired a few years ago, brought a different boat, has been disappointed with that particular boat or it didn't fulfill what they wanted it to fulfill. And now they're coming to buy the Edencraft and then they're like, why did I wait so long? Why did I do this? So I've literally been like wrapping my head trying to figure out how to communicate that messaging. It's like, yeah, it's a big investment, but it is so, so worth it and you're not going to regret it. And yeah, how to like bottle that up and like tell someone without being like, just buy the boat.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to see when you see somebody make the mistake. Right?
Yeah.
Talk to Fab.
Yeah.
That was his story.
Yeah.
It's hard unless you've had the experience. Sometimes you need to learn the hard way, right?
Yeah. And then it makes them more grateful, I suppose. Like maybe that makes it all the more special when they do eventually make that decision. But yeah, I think that's definitely something that, I wish people knew more is that like you can trust us and you're making the right decision and you're going to love it. And your wife's going to forgive you if you didn't get full approval or you didn't tell her how much it was.
That's awesome. I love that. Josie, it's been a pleasure. You are a very inspiring person, and I love how you're playing a huge role in shaping the marine industry and your vision for it. It's very cool. So if anyone wants to learn more about Edencraft or Josie, visit the website or follow Edencraft or Josie on socials. Maybe. I don't know. Is your account private?
No, it's not.
Perfect.
No.
See Willow on there?
Yeah. It's a lot of Willow content.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you for being on.
No worries. Thanks, Steve.
And if you enjoyed this episode, share it with somebody who'd love to hear it too, and catch y'all next time on the Rising Podcast.